And what is up, everyone? TCT and Elizabeth Pinky Squirrel back again. And today, what are we going to see, Pinky?
We're going to see Revenge of the Sith.
We're going to see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. This is the 20th anniversary re-release for theaters. Guys, they just had Star Wars Celebration, and Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor and all these guys were talking about how they were happy that this is getting re-released. This is the first time I saw Star Wars in the movie theater. I was 13 years old when this came out.
Just making me feel old that it's 20.
I'm telling you, it's definitely making me feel old. It was 2005. It was May of 2005. It came out, I think, May 19th, 2005.
Okay.
And I went to see it on, I believe, the 21st. It was that Sunday. I have a story I want to tell, but after we go and do the reaction to it, or do the review to it, because we've both seen this movie. Yep. She hasn't seen it in a long time.
It's been a while.
Personally, I'm going to tell you this is my favorite Star Wars movie. Everybody's going to be controversial with that. Well, you don't like Empire Strikes Back? I love Empire Strikes Back. The reason why this is my favorite Star Wars movie is because this is the first time I saw Star Wars in theaters, and what a great film to watch your first Star Wars movie. Like, I wasn't born in the 70s. I wasn't born in 80 or 83 to watch any of those. I absolutely love Revenge of the Sith. Say what you want about Hayden Christensen. I'm glad that he's back now in the Star Wars family, getting the chance to, be beloved for what he did as Anakin Skywalker. And you guys need to understand, it was also the directing of George Lucas that made him kind of robotic. Right. You know what I'm saying? People gave him a lot of criticism in those days. You got to remember it was George Lucas who made him say a lot of these lines. So I think he did really well. But we're going to go in and we're going to watch Revenge of the Sith. I have not watched this on the movie screen in 20 years.
I haven't watched it ever on the movie screen.
She's never seen. So the big reason we wanted to do this today, we could have went and saw The Accountant too. We could have went and saw The Amateur. And we're like, no, we're going to do Star Wars Revenge of the Sith because, for one, we love you guys. And we think this would be a fun video to do and talk about Star Wars for a little bit. And, we can get into more Star Wars once we get home and we start talking and getting into depth about Star Wars. But the reason why I wanted to do this today is, who in the world would not want to see that lightsaber fight in Dolby Atmos surround sound 4K?
Yes.
Between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Who does not want to see that? So we're going to go in there. We're going to definitely enjoy this film, and we'll see you guys when we come out.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hayden Christensen, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this very special screening celebrating the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I hope you all enjoy watching Anakin's journey to the dark side and watching Ewan and I battle it out on the big screen. So now let's get to the movie, because this is where the fun begins. Thank you, and may the Force be with you.
The Force is strong with you. A powerful Sith you will become. Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader. Thank you, my master.
All right, guys, we just got out of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. What do you think?
Hello, John Williams.
John Williams is a staple of these movies, man. Look, when I first saw this movie, I was 13 years old, and my mom didn't want to see Star Wars, okay? So I went to Circuit City that Friday. Yeah, back when Circuit City was a thing. I went back to Circuit City that Friday, and I bought the Revenge of the Sith video game. I played it, loved it, beat it in a day because it wasn't very long or anything like that.
What was that, PS2?
It was on the PS2. One of the best Star Wars games that was out there at the time, and I beat it. And a friend of mine was like, have you seen the movie? And I go, no, I haven't. I told my mom I wanted to see it because he said it was like the best Star Wars movie he had seen since the originals. So mom didn't want to take me to see it because she didn't want to see it. So I told her, I was like, well, I'm 13. Can't you just drop me off at the theater? Right? So she does. My showtime is like at 1:30. She drops me off at 11 because she had something to go do. Right? I'm in the movie theater and I'm sitting there and the manager comes over and asks me what I'm doing there by myself. And I go, well, my mom dropped me off to see Star Wars. He says, well, when's your showtime? It's like 1:30. He goes, all right, well, how about you hop into this screening over here and watch the rest of this movie so that we ain't got to look after you. You can just sit in the back row. And I'm like, okay. So I show up right when Obi-Wan is talking to Padme. Anakin has turned to the dark side. That is the first thing that I hear come out of his mouth. No lie. I get to see that point all the way to the end of the movie, the lightsaber fight and everything, before I see my own screening. I come out of that screening, my mind's like, okay, so what else am I in for? Because the ending of it's incredible. Mm-hmm. And then I make it into my screening. I sit in the middle rows this time because I want to be a little bit closer, you know. It's not like the stadium seating we have now. It was like you just go up a ramp. It was one of these old ones. And people were laughing, people were crying, but the thing that I love the most about this movie is just the slow decline in trust that Anakin has for the Jedi, because he is being so manipulated by Palpatine that he just can't help it. He can't control it. In which, you know, the fan theory is that Palpatine put these memories in his brain that Padme was going to die in order to seduce him to the dark side.
Oh.
Maybe he like force wielded those memories. It's possible. It's a fun fan theory, you know, but what do you think overall? Like, what's your first memories of watching this one?
I don't know. It's been so long ago. What I do remember is more recently I've played the music with the orchestra and having the different themes, and you can listen and you know when he's changing because it goes from the Luke type theme, and then it changes really much to the
Vader theme,
the Imperial March. You can hear it sneak up. And I love that. So
I will tell you my favorite, if you guys haven't seen the soundtrack, my favorite tone on the soundtrack, the name of the track is Anakin's Dark Deeds. Now, do you remember after he had told Padme, like, Anakin is the father, isn't he? And you heard the dun, dun, dun,
yes.
dun, dun.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then you see him, he's standing on that bridge and he's just like, you know, and you see that look of him, like just that music that's playing at the time. That's my favorite track of the whole film. Then you have Battle of the Heroes mixed in with the Duel of the Fates during the lightsaber fight. The Duel of the Fates playing during Yoda and Palpatine. Yes, Battle of the Heroes playing during Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Which, you know, it's great because they're two heroes fighting each other. So you wouldn't be playing Duel of the Fates then. No. But the reason why Duel of the Fates is playing during Palpatine and Yoda is because this is the fate of the Republic on the line, which is why they in the Senate room are fighting, because it's for the control of the Senate. It's for the Republic. It's for them to save democracy. Yes, and they fail doing so, which is why we end up having the Empire in A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So I did want to ask you, what was your favorite part of the movie? I love with the Padme interactions, is you can see her kind of sensing that he's changing, but she doesn't know how to stop it. And then you can kind of tell that she blames herself. Yeah. Because he wants to save her. That's why he keeps saying, I'm going to learn this to save you. But it's also him being selfish. Yeah. You were not in the room. You had took a break during the scene after they send Mace Windu. Right. You remember this scene from when you watched it originally. Yeah. They send Mace Windu, and he's sitting in the council chambers all by himself, and you hear the one note from John Williams in the opera. Yes. And he's slowly sitting there thinking about what he's about to do, and he's fighting it off. Right. Then he takes a breath, and you hear, like a Darth Vader breath, right?
Yep.
And you see a tear come down his eye.
Yep.
That made me cough. You see, so it's difficult. And you see a tear come down his eye. Well, then you see that, okay, he's made his choice and he doesn't like his choice, but he's made his choice because he loves Padme.
Yes.
I when I was a kid, I could kind of tell Obi-Wan just knew. Like, you could, if you watch it, like the Clone Wars television series, which you have not seen, by the way, but I have. I've seen every episode. And I want to get her involved in it soon, but it's a lot. Trust me, when I tell you it's packed with information, it's going to overload. It does.
A lot of people tell me it's full of all the little nuances of the lore.
Yes.
That
it will help
aren't in the
you.
movies.
It will help you when you watch Revenge of the Sith. You're like, okay, now this makes sense. So I was telling her in the theater when General Grievous is on screen, he goes, Anakin Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought a person of your reputation would be a little older. It's the first time he's met Anakin Skywalker. So back in the cartoon, when they did the Clone Wars, they had to be very careful not to ever have General Grievous on screen at the same time as Anakin Skywalker, because the first time they meet is Revenge of the Sith, which is post the Clone Wars series. You know, it's right after the Clone Wars series, or it takes place during the finale of the Clone Wars series now, since they've saved it and everything. Thank you, Disney, for saving that. Even though I'm not crazy about your movies and stuff like that, but the television series, absolutely.
Yeah.
The TV shows. I like Rebels. Who doesn't like The Mandalorian? Mandalorian's great. But do you know about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, you know, when they were at that concert?
I didn't remember that part.
But you heard what he said. He goes, he could influence the midichlorians to create life.
Right.
He could even stop the one he cares about from dying.
Yeah.
Which is what he knew he had to tell Anakin, because he could pick up on the fact that he was afraid that she was going to die, right?
Right.
So he mentioned that story just to seduce him a little more. But what people don't know, that don't read any of the lore or don't pay attention. Who was
the apprentice?
He was.
I thought so.
So Palpatine was the apprentice of Darth Plagueis the Wise, which is why he knows the story, because he's the one who killed him in his sleep.
Right.
And you know that from reading books, you know, the Star Wars books and everything like that, which is fun. You know, it's fun to do. But yeah, he grinned, and you could just tell, like, they weren't hiding it in this movie. When I was a kid, they were like, "Oh, I wonder who the Dark Lord." We know it's Palpatine from the get-go. Even in Phantom Menace, we know it's him. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we're not stupid. So I like how Lucas was like, yeah, that, because you could kind of see, like during the video transmissions, you can see Palpatine's eye under the hood a little bit. Yep. You know, especially when you're watching it. You can't really see it when you're watching it at home, but when you're in theaters, you can definitely see Ian McDermott there. Yeah, Ian McDermott is really good as Palpatine. He is very, very, very well done as Palpatine. Very over the top.
Well, that's the way he should be.
And that's the way, exactly, because he is in the Return of the Jedi. But just the scene in general, I wanted to explain something to you. I don't know if you ever picked up on this. The first time Anakin or Darth Vader uses the Force choke, which is his signature, like, I'm going to kill you. The first time he ever used the Force choke, did you pick up on that? Who he did it to?
No, I don't remember.
It was Padme. When he said, "You turned her against me," and or like, "You're with him. You brought him here to kill me," and he's choking her. He's Force choking her, which is why she's grabbing her throat.
Right.
That first person he ever uses that Force choke on. So you know, in Empire Strikes Back, how Vader is constantly killing people with the choke. The first person he ever Force choked was Padme. Ooh, which is messed up, dude.
That's sad.
Of course, we don't know that. It's what we see on screen. We don't know if that's the first person he ever Force choked, unless it's like in books or anything like that. But it's the first time we ever see him in the prequels do that.
That's wow.
And that is a very terrifying moment. But the scene where he's like, "I am more powerful than the Chancellor. I can overthrow him, and then you and I can rule the galaxy, make things the way we want them to be," goes back to Attack of the Clones when they were in that flower field and they were eating or whatever. He was like, they should be made to listen. Like, who, you? Remember when she says that in Attack of the Clones?
Okay,
Well, that comes to fruition was like, we can rule the galaxy, make things away, like as they were talking in Attack of the Clones.
I remember.
You see what I'm saying? So he went back to his love for her and was like, I want to rule the galaxy with you. Anakin would have never said that as a Jedi, but as a Sith, he can let his emotions run wild. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if you ever catch this when he's being burned. He's mouthing stuff, but you don't really see it because George Lucas took the audio out. There was a lot of different versions of what he was saying. He was crying for help from Obi-Wan in some of those scenes, but Lucas muted that. Like, you can see Hayden Christensen's mouth moving when he's falling down. He's like,
right. You can't figure it out.
But you can't. But he doesn't have any words coming out. But he's like, Obi-Wan, help! Like, and so it's Anakin still trying to fight, like off, but he's like, that would have been too dark for the kids.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like,
really dark.
He just wanted the I hate you, because then his eyes like completely turn over.
Right.
So when you
that
see,
makes more sense.
And she picked up on this in the movie theater when he was killing the separatists. You saw his eyes, like he turned his head, and his eyes were yellow.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
The more you kill, the more you succumb to the dark side. So the more powerful he's getting with every life he's taking.
Right.
So he is like just fully gone because he's killed all these children.
Yeah, that was the first thing he did was kill the children.
Yeah. He marched on the Jedi Temple and killed all the Padawans.
It's like, the younglings. After they asked him for help.
After they asked for help. But the reason, and here's a fun fact, and I'll tell you in a second, but the reason why it was so significant for him to kill, or for that child to step forward, because who did he look like?
He looked like Luke.
No, not just Luke. He looked like Anakin.
Oh, yeah,
he looked like Jake Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
They made him look like him. So he's like, I don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? But you see when the kid went back after he did that, so they purposefully did not tell the kids. They said, oh, Hayden's going to come on set and you're just going to say your lines and he's going to be really cool with you. They didn't tell the kids that Hayden was going to look all menacing or pop something or yet. So what they did was they yelled like really loud when he did that. And the kid like got startled and back, and they kept it in the movie, to make it look like he got startled when he did the lightsaber, which I think was really clever of George Lucas to do. Like frightened children, like the real frightened children, they work better than telling a children how to act frightened. If you really scare them and you're filming that, it's gonna be 10 times better.
Yeah, if you tell them look scared, they get really confused.
Yeah, they get really confused. They don't know how to look scared. So naturally, you have to scare them on purpose, and that's definitely something that George Lucas did for that scene. But
I hope they had an ice cream party after.
Probably. I have no idea. There's a lot of behind the scenes you guys can go and you can look at. Oh, man. So when I tell people this is my favorite Star Wars movie, they always ask, well, why is it not Empire Strikes Back? Well, I'm a fan of horror. And Empire Strikes Back, while it may be horror, like the Jason Voorhees, Darth Vader, he's going through the galaxy, he's murdering people, he's killing people, he freezes Han Solo at the end of the movie. It's epic between the showdown between father and son, the I am your father at the end of the movie, which shocks everyone. Why is that not my favorite? My favorite is because it's not as tragic as this. This
is his tragic downfall.
That movie was all shock factor for back in 1980, which worked tremendously. To me, it's probably the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. It's just not my personal favorite. My personal favorite is Revenge of the Sith, and people are going to be like, well, Hayden Christensen's acting. Like, look, man, his acting, yes, it's not great, but he's being told what to do by George Lucas.
Young actor, wasn't
and he was a young actor at the time.
Yeah.
Now he's 10 times better. We just saw him in Star Wars Celebration. I'm proud of the Star Wars fans for re-accepting him into the fandom. Like he had to stay away from the cons and stuff. People hated him so much. And as I was telling her, look at the hate going on with the Disney movies right now. It's the same hate that was going on with the prequels. People are going to hate new things. People are going to hate new things. They bashed every prequel that came out. I remember
Yep.
as a kid,
I
they
did
was like, this
too.
is the worst Star Wars movie ever when Phantom Menace came out, right? Meanwhile, oh my God, the Darth Maul lightsaber fight was great. Attack of the Clones came out, worst Star Wars movie of all time.
Yeah,
And I
sure.
still think so. I still think it's the most boring Star Wars movie of all time, even though it advances the story, which it's definitely needed to be there. But the reason why I like Revenge of the Sith so much, and they bashed Revenge of the Sith too.
I remember.
The reason why I like it so much is because you have taken this child, and even though it's rushed through movies instead of like a television series, which it could have been, you've taken this child, you've molded him into the perfect Jedi after being warned that he was too old to do it because he was already attached to his mother.
Oh.
So when Jedi are attached, they feel they get selfish, they get frightened, they get scared, and they become, they're very susceptible to become evil and to turn bad. That's what happened to Count Dooku.
Well, Yoda said it in this movie. He said, "Fear is a path to the dark side."
Yeah. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. He says that in the Phantom Menace.
Right.
And he looked at Anakin in the Phantom Menace. He goes, "I sense much fear in you," which is why they kept saying they don't want to train him, because it's not that they didn't like Anakin; they were afraid of Anakin because of what's happened in this movie. They were afraid that this was going to happen, and they knew they could sense it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Even Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, was telling Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn, he said, the boy is dangerous. They can all sense it. Why can't you? Because he had put an attachment on him.
Oh no!
So he was blinded, just like Anakin is blinded by Padme.
Oh, because he said,
saying?
"Oh," and then he was like, "You were like my son."
So yes, and Obi-Wan is like, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." Forbidden for a Jedi to love anybody.
Yeah.
But the reason why it was so hard for Obi-Wan is because he did love Anakin like a son. You know what I'm saying? And which is why it was difficult. That's why he's telling Yoda, "Send me to kill the Emperor. I will not kill Anakin," because he wanted to take on like the darkest of dark rather than kill the boy he trained and the boy he raised. You know what I'm saying? So it's very dark in that perspective. But overall, what else do you think of the movie? Like, what were some of your other favorite parts? Like General Grievous. I know you.
Oh, I love Grievous.
Yeah, Grievous is
just
fun.
The way he talks and moves, and then you hear him coughing. I'm like, what is
Jedi scum?
What is with the evil guys coughing all over?
It was funny to have a droid being asthmatic because it was like his exhaust or something like that.
Yeah, it was funny.
People didn't like that when it came. They bashed that when it came out. And don't say
they
didn't, because they did.
They did.
You can go back and look. They hated General Grievous when this movie came out. They thought he was stupid. They thought he was crazy. But then here comes Dave Filoni and George Lucas with Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and they put General Grievous all up in that animated show. And now he is a fan favorite. He is one of the best characters in Star Wars.
And they moved on to Jar Jar.
No, Jar Jar is all up in Clone Wars.
Really?
Yes.
But I thought they hated Jar Jar.
Everybody hates the Gungans. Nobody likes the Gungans. Look, I get why. He's a silly character.
I like him because he's silly.
You like him because he's silly. He doesn't need to be there.
No, he is kind of.
That's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of Jar Jar Binks. But I get why he's there. He's there for the children. He's there for the silliness. Like, try to bring some silliness into a dark and wild series, because the series starts off with death.
Ooh.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And then we get into Attack of the Clones, and it's all about love. And then we get into Revenge of the Sith, and it's about tragedy. And then the fourth movie, A New Hope, is about hope.
Yes.
The fifth movie is about revenge.
Right.
And then the final movie is about peace. Is about how far are we going to go to finally get peace. And to me, they should have left it alone. Now, I am going to say when The Force Awakens came out, I enjoyed it.
I did.
I thought it was really good. It had a bright future. And then along comes Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams takes a lot of crap because of The Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens. But I'm telling you, the brunt of the blame goes to Rian Johnson. He undid everything J.J. Abrams set up in The Force Awakens. And in The Last Jedi, he blew everything apart. So I'm not going to discredit J.J. Abrams. I am going to get on what's her name, the freaking chick.
Ray?
Yeah, because Daisy Ridley just went along with everything. She didn't fight for anything.
Yeah.
And I was really not impressed with the lightsaber battles or anything. You watch this lightsaber battle in cinema, and you're like, "What are you doing, Disney?" Well, Lucasfilms.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really bright. And like I had to close my eyes for a second because there was so much movement and light.
Well, that's why they darkened. And I told her, like, if you go see this in theaters, they darkened the background a little bit because they knew it was hurting people's eyes, and it was going to hurt people's eyes. On TV at home, you can sit and watch it, but when you're in the cinema, oh my god, like the saber beams and everything going across.
A strobe light.
It's like a strobe light, which I'm very glad that they did darken it, and they made the color tone a little bit more pale,
a little bit,
in order to save your eyes from total disaster. And they did that when it originally came out too.
I think I remember talking about that.
Yes, when it originally came out. So anytime Star Wars is on screen in the movie theater and it's not like digital or anything like that, they are going to pale it out a little bit, just so you guys know. But like I said, this is my favorite Star Wars movie. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
I don't know. I'm more a fan of the music than I am the movies.
But I know you got to have a favorite film. I'm going to tell you what my second favorite Star Wars movie is after Empire Strikes Back, because that is my second favorite. My third favorite Star Wars movie, and you guys are going to be asking me why. It's Star Wars Rogue One. It's Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. And it's because it doesn't involve any Jedis or anything like that. It just involves this group of rebels stealing the plans for the Death Star and Darth Vader dead on their heels at the end of the movie. And when we see them take off, they hand the plans to Princess Leia, and that's where we pick it up in the original Star Wars film.
Right.
And I'm like, that the way that they did that was beautiful. That's Disney's best Star Wars movie, I think. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Makes sense.
I didn't enjoy Solo very much. You guys can see my reaction to that. I thought it was okay. Rogue One was the best Disney Star Wars movie. I'm going to tell you now. I love that movie. Force Awakens was second to me. Third, I did enjoy The Rise of Skywalker a little bit because they brought in some of the healing aspects and everything. But just the stuff with Rey and Kylo Ren, I did not like that whatsoever. But I really didn't like that they brought Palpatine back at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it ruins what Vader does in 6, right? How do you feel about that? You remember seeing that they brought Palpatine back in the new one?
I don't remember.
You haven't watched it?
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, she hasn't watched it, so it's been forever since you watched Star Wars, hasn't it?
Last time I watched A New Hope, it might have been.
I'm talking about Rise of Skywalker.
Well, New Hope might have been on VHS last time I saw it.
But you remember this one vividly, very vividly.
This one, because I watched this one in college on my little teeny 13-inch laptop.
Yeah, so this one is definitely up there. As if you're going to talk Star Wars, this is one of the first films that comes to mind. It's Revenge of the Sith, and then Empire Strikes Back. I'm going to tell you right now. That, like, anytime you mention Star Wars, they're going to be like, oh, Anakin Skywalker was a beast. Then he turned bad. It's like, well, he turned bad in what movie? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like watching Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can't talk Star Trek without watching that. You know what I'm saying? You can't talk Star Wars without seeing Revenge of the Sith. You know, you can show anybody Darth Vader. They're going to be like, who's under the mask? Oh, well, I'll show you.
Well, rewind. Yeah,
no, I'll show you. Check this movie out.
Yeah.
Well, this says this is Star Wars 3. I go, you'll see Darth Vader get created in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, guys, you know, it's a solid A+ for me. Like, but for acting and stuff like that, yeah, it's over the top. The acting's always over the top in Star Wars movies.
It's a fantasy movie.
It's a fantasy movie. People complain too much, man.
It's not real enough to be a spin.
No.
Wow.
No. And you know, I get upset with some of the Star Wars fans. Like, look, I love Star Wars. I'm not as big of a nerd as the guys on the Schmodown. You know, when they do these Star Wars trivia contests on YouTube. I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as that, but I've seen every property. I've seen everything that Star Wars has ever done. Seen The Acolyte. I watched the new Skeleton Crew. I've seen Mandalorian. I've seen Boba Fett. I've seen everything that's come out. I've seen all the new like anime ones that are coming out, like with the art and stuff like that. I watch everything. I'm ready for Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie, this summer. I'm very ready to go and see that. That's going to be so fun to watch. And like I said when I was a kid, I was like, I think the future in Star Wars was always in television. You know, after this movie came out, I told my friend, I was like, I don't want any more movies. I want them to be on TV. And he was like, why? I go, because you get more of it.
You need more details.
You get more and more and more when it's on TV. And what did they do as soon as I said that? Attack of the Clones came out. And it was so fun, man. It was so fun. It starts off like really silly and childrenish, but as you get into seasons 3, 4, and 5, when they start their special arcs, you know, especially with the Savage and Darth Maul arcs and all, and then once you get season 7, good job, Disney. Good job, Dave Filoni. Good job, everybody that was involved in that. You guys did a phenomenal job wrapping Ahsoka's story up. Ahsoka Tano is my favorite in the anime. I'm just telling you. Beautifully done by Rosario Dawson and Ashley Eckert, who voiced her in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. But and then you have Ezra Bridger in Star Wars Rebels with Kanan Jarrus, who's voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. Great shows, man. Like, you see, I watch these shows. I know this stuff. But like I said, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
It's probably this one or Episode 1. I like the Padme story.
Or do you mean the original Star Wars, or do you mean the Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace.
Okay.
I love the Padme story.
Okay, so the Padme story is probably my favorite arc. I just don't think it has enough time to groom in 3 movies.
No,
it should have been a 5-movie thing. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I think a television series would have been better at that point. But they weren't all streaming or anything like that. It was all big budget movies. Then, which is understandable. Which is why people complain now, because they're so dang spoiled by what's on TV.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, well, I deserve this. I don't deserve that. It's like, you don't deserve anything. You deserve to get what they give you.
Yep.
And if you don't like it, go out and make it better. I don't see you going out and trying.
Make it yourself. Yeah.
Make it yourself. Look at what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here talking Star Wars. I'm not a film critic by any means. I'm just telling you I enjoy Revenge of the Sith. I really love Revenge of the Sith. I remember getting the toys. I remember getting the video game. I remember the first time they ever had a voice-changing helmet was for Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I remember all the Taco Bell commercials.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
You know what I'm saying? I remember the Taco Bell dog. I'm gonna get a toy, and it's gonna be Star Wars. Like, it's stupid, crazy stuff, man. It's definitely fun. But guys, if you enjoyed this movie review, please hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, this is TCT and Elizabeth Pinky Squirrel signing off. I am going to tell you that I'm having a surgery in June. You guys will see what's going on pretty soon. I am going to be letting you guys know what's happening. But I might be off here for maybe a little while, at least a couple weeks.
Yeah.
There's some movies that are going to come out. People are going to ask me if I went and seen. I'm not physically for at least 2 weeks not going to be able to get out of bed.
3, yeah.
I'm not allowed to drive for 2 weeks after this surgery. And you guys will see what this surgery is. I'll make a video and explain everything to you. So thank you all for watching this video, and we'll see you again on the next movie review.